around the far turn, leading the way. Get her number within a half-length second. Jungle Cry just outside of them. Greg Dar has some run along the inside, and Border Town is starting to unwind. Border Town White Cap will be coming widest of all as the field turns for home. It is Harbored Memories. Get her number head and head. Greg Dar gets a clear shot if good enough. Border Town continues to finish with interest on the outside of Encoder, a 16th to go. Harbored Memories, dead game on the inside of Get Her Number. Then Greg Dar in third. A driving finish. Get Her Number. Had the head down at the right time in a very tight photograph with Harbored Memories. Greg Dar finished with a flourish in third. School Parents' Day at the races. The 6th is up next. Late pick 4 in 23 minutes. They're in the gate, and they're off. Mongolian Ford and Street Ruckus duel through the early stages. Tom Bombadil is the gray, and Egomania goes 4 wide into the first turn. Bud Knight second to last, and at the back of the field is Star Sailor. Around the first turn, it's Street Ruckus narrowly. Mongolian Ford up alongside second, 2 more Egomania third, Tom Bombadil in fourth. Bud Knight moves through a narrow opening at the rail, and 2 more to Star Sailor. They head toward the 5/8 pole, and it is Mongolian Ford showing the way. 3/4 of a length now to Street Ruckus, Egomania, Tom Bombadil, Bud Knight, and Star Sailor. 4 lengths front to back. Field comes to the half-mile pole. Edwin Maldonado and Mongolian Ford the leader. 3/4 of a length. Street Ruckus coming back for more at the rail. Egomania pushed along from third. Bud Knight, Tom Bombadil, and Star Sailor. They have 3 furlongs to run. Street Ruckus, Mongolian Ford racing together as one, and they start to shake free. Egomania suddenly 4 lengths behind. Tom Bombadil, Bud Knight, and Star Sailor match race past the quarter pole. It's Street Ruckus at the rail and Mongolian Ford in there nose to nose. Mongolian Ford on the outside, and a tough Street Ruckus. Street Ruckus puts his neck in front at the 8th pole. Now it's a half-length lead. Now a full length coming to the 16th. And Street Ruckus is pulling clear through the final stages. Street Ruckus wins it by almost 3 lengths. Mongolian Ford second, Bud Knight third, then Egomania. Cholima, the last one to load. They're in the gate. And they're off. Busy Painter in the center is quickest. Cholima has some early speed. Miss Tokyo is coming through along the inside to be a part of the pace. And Island Life is not far away, racing a joint third inside Big Passion. They're followed by A New Piece, who's 3 lengths off the leader. Lil Grayson is next, and then a gap of at least 6 to Take a Leap, who trails. Past the half mile, and it's Miss Tokyo and Busy Painter stride for stride. Big Passion outside of that pair, a half length off the lead and pressing. Cholima is next. Down at the rail, A New Piece with Island Life between those two. Another 2 back to Lil Grayson. And Take a Leap is about 8 lengths off the speed, starting to gain some momentum now. 1/4 to go. Busy Painter just in front. Big Passion in second. Take a Leap is circling the field far outside and starting to close some ground as Busy Painter shakes free at the 8th pole. Opens up 4. Take a Leap bearing down clearly into second. It's Busy Painter, 3-length lead at the 16th pole. Take a Leap is second, followed by A New Piece. It will be Busy Painter. Busy Painter a length. Take a Leap a hard charging second. Then A New Peace, Lil Grayson and Island Life. The last one is Awfully Naughty. They're in the gate. And they're off in the San Luis Rey. Acclimate and Dicey Mochara, the first two out. Current comes away in third. They're followed by Awfully Naughty in fourth. Then comes Henley's Joy, fifth in the early stages, about 7 lengths off the lead. Down the hill they go, and it is Acclimate showing the way, has it by 2.5. Current is second, Dicey Mochara third. They're stringing out quite a bit. A gap of 5 back to Awfully Naughty, who's then followed by Henley's Joy, Airman, and Red King will do his best running later. They come through the stretch for the first time, and it's the 8-year-old Acclimate setting the pace. He's 2 in front. Current keeping close in second. Dicey Mochara settles comfortably in third, and then it's a gap of at least 6 lengths back to Awfully Naughty in fourth. Airman is racing in fifth on the outside, covering up Henley's Joy, and 3 more to Red King. About 20 lengths covers the field as they head into the clubhouse turn. Ricky Gonzalez and Acclimate dictating terms with a 2-length advantage. Current is in second. 4 more lengths back to Dicey Mochara by himself in third. Then at least 8 back to Awfully Naughty. At the rail, Henley's Joy, Airman next to him, and Red King and Umberto Rispoli continue to trail. Heading toward the half-mile pole in the San Luis Rey. And it's Acclimate, strutting his stuff, has a 4-length edge. Current is second, and he's been there most of the way. Another 3 back to Dicey Mochara, who gets his cue in third. Still a big gap to Henley's Joy and Awfully Naughty. Now Red King is underway with a 3-wide move, leaving Airman at the back. Acclimate will come to the quarter pole uncontested, 1.5 lengths in front of Current. Dicey Mochara inching up on the outside. Red King takes fourth. He has 6 to make up. Top of the lane. Acclimate. Dicey Mochara's had a good trip and takes aim at the 8th pole. Dicey Mochara, Acclimate, head and head. Acclimate or Dicey Mochara. 3 lengths back to Current in third. Acclimate digging deep, finding more, and it will be Acclimate all the way in the San Luis Rey. Dicey Mochara was second. Third went to Current, and then it was a photo for fourth between Awfully Naughty and Red King.
If you play the horses on a regular basis, and I know that you do you have any idea how important the morning line odds maker is to the ability for you to make money? Hi, everybody. My name is Tom Quigley, VIP player concierge, also your seminar host for the next 40 minutes. And speaking of morning line odds makers, he's done a lot more in his career than that. I'm proud to introduce the morning line odds maker, not just here at San Diego, but also at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. His name, John White. John, happy Sunday and welcome to the seminar.
Good to be with you, Tom. Want to say right off the top, want to pass along a thank you to Charlie McCall right over here in the jockey's room. Longtime racing official. He is so instrumental in helping me day after day, week after week,
minute after minute,
year after year. And I mean, so thank you, Charlie, for all your help.
Well, what does Charlie do that makes your job a little bit easier?
Gives me heads up on horses that might scratch, which sometimes people say, why is this morning line the way it is? And
you kind of have a sneaky suspicion that...
Well, the thing is, Tom, the morning line used to be made the morning of the races. That's why it's called the morning line. It's not called the day before the line.
48 hours in advance.
It's not called when I've made the morning line for 7 Breeders' Cups.
Yes, you have.
And they're made Monday for races on Friday and Saturday. And not only that, the last 2 Breeders' Cups I've made the morning line for, I have to do it before the post position draw. Think of that. And how important post positions are in some of those races, like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, in which I would have flip-flopped my favorite and first, other favorite, the horse I made second favorite, if I'd known the post position. So, but as it was, I got 11 out of the 14 correct favorites in the Breeders' Cup, and the 2 of the 3 I missed won. They were Pizza Bianca and Nixco, who I was shocked did not go favored in the Breeders' Cup Classic, but of course he won, and Pizza Bianca did win.
It's a labor of love for you, John. Obviously, you put your heart and soul into making the morning line. What's the process? Describe it for us. In other words, we're drawing for Friday in just a few hours. When do you begin your job? Do you automatically download the past performances? Just walk us through how you typically set a day's morning line.
Yep, I hit the ground running when I get those past performances, and I go through a very laborious deal. I go through horses to watch list I've made. I go through Brad Free's horses to watch list.
As do I. Yep.
I go through and mark. You can take a look. I mean, all kinds of markings with a highlighter and red pen. I look up pedigrees. I'm looking at workouts. I'm marking the connections, horses' records on this track, on and on. I mean, it's a very long-term process, and it can change. I can tweak a line all the way up. Sometimes I'm putting it in to what they call Encompass, which is the computer system that the line goes into. And I can be sitting there looking at that, and on the fly, the seat of my pants, I can make a change right. I go, you know what? And a lot of times you make a line and you go, why did I do that? When we get here to race day, and I go, gee, if I had a do-over, I would do it differently.
I know sometimes you're amazed at a horse that John Hardoon might give out on the radio, and automatically the odds on that horse might drop simply because either John Hardoon or Toby Terrell or somebody that the players respect gave it out on the radio show.
Well, one thing that has tied a hand behind my back, which is unfortunate since they keep moving where you make it earlier and earlier. For a number of years, I was able to get the Thorograph numbers, and I'm a huge proponent of Thorograph. And it puts me on an even playing field. I don't get to have these guys go, well, this one's got the best number and blah, blah, blah. I knew that too going in. Now I don't. So I'm in the dark for some of this. So I feel proud at the job I've been able to do. Coming into today, I've had the right favorite at this current Santa Anita meet 78.1% of the time. So that means about 8 out of 10 times I'm going to have the right favorite. Why is that important? Most horse players, as you well know, as the former publisher of Horse Player magazine, most horse players are looking to beat the favorite. And so they want to know who the favorite is going to most likely be. So the more accurate the morning line is at forecasting the favorite. And let me tell you, today's card has short fields, but is very tricky. Most of these races, favoritism could go 2, 3, 4 different ways in each of these races. And I'm expecting to take a hit on my percentage today with this card.
You should feel very proud of the work you do, John, and you just rattled off the statistics that makes you proud. Let me ask you a question. You talked about one arm being tied behind your back, but a few fingers maybe have been released, and what I'm referring to is courtesy of our friends at xptv.com. You now actually have access to watch some of the morning workouts. I'm sure you take advantage of that.
Well, here for just on Big Cap Day, I had 6 pages of workout notes from XBTV on a 7-horse field with 6 first-time starters. That took me an hour and a half to go through every XBTV video that they had for all of those horses. The killers at Del Mar in the summer, when you get the 2-year-old races there, and so many of them. And I have to go through all those videos. And then also you're going through the breeding, and Del Mar is really challenging because you get those 11, 12 horse fields that I go, well, this horse could win. This horse could win. Well, this horse is a contender. This one could win. Oh, you can't throw this one out. And I've got somebody's going to be the favorite and somebody's going to be a long shot. And I mean, to me, you could throw a blanket over the field. So it's Del Mar is in the summer is really tough.
And John, you touched upon trying to identify who a favorite might be in a small field, like a few instances today. And I see that in your morning line, the way you develop it, because basically you've got 8 to 5, 9 to 5, and maybe 5 to 2, 3 of the runners in the 6-horse field. You're kind of telling the betting public that this is a difficult race, even though it's a small field.
That's exactly right, Tom. Those are things to look for in terms of when you preliminarily look at a morning line for a race, how heavy the favorite is or light, which you hone in a lot, but also the gap between the favorite and the second favorite. How big is that gap? Things like that. So there's little things that you can hone in on with a morning line.
And besides your morning line odds makers duties in the past, and you've been involved in the industry for quite some time, you've been a steward, you own some horses. Briefly, we've only got a minute or two left and we're not going to do it justice, but how did you get introduced to the game of horse racing?
Well, it was my dad. And let me say that here's a form from my dad before I was born in 1952.
That's amazing.
It cost 35 cents. This is the very first form I bought at Long Acres on July 2nd, 1966. It cost 50 cents. This is my high school newspaper, March 22nd, 1973. I was the sports editor, and I wrote that Secretariat would win the Triple Crown. That was in March. Then he got beat in the Wood Memorial, and in April, I wrote, I'm sticking with Secretariat, and I have him picked at 4 to 5. And then this is my Secretariat Kentucky Derby form. Now they were up to $1 in 1973, but this was the Secretariat versus 12 in richest running of the Kentucky Derby, 1973.
He's a wealth of information. He's literally a walking encyclopedia. It's our pleasure to have John White as our seminar guest today. We're going to find out who John likes on today's 8-race card. But before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and get the early program changes for today's card.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place. Here are the early changes. The track is fast, the turf is firm, the rail on the turf is out 30 feet today. The first race is the Grade 3 Las Flores Stakes, scratch number 2, Park Avenue, and with that scratch, there's no show wagering. Early pick 5 starts with race 1. In the second race, beginning of the early pick 4, just a blinker note. There are no changes in the third. The third race will start the Rainbow 6, 322,000 in the jackpot. Turning to the fourth race, no changes. In the fifth, number 2 Mongolian bonus, 2 pounds over. The sixth race, scratch number 5, Heather's Gray. Race 6, scratch number 5. In the seventh, number 5, Arthur Spooner, make the jockey Flavien Pratt. Flavien Pratt rides 5, Arthur Spooner. 7, Speed Grazy, 2 pounds over. The seventh race is the start of the Golden Hour Pick 4. And in today's eighth race, start of the $5 Golden Hour Double, we have no changes. Enjoy your afternoon at Santa Anita Park. We have an 8-race card. Rainbow 6 starts with the third. Our first race goes off in 59 minutes at 12:30. We go back now to Quigley's Corner. Tom's special guest, John White, morning line odds maker here at Santa Anita Park.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with John White. He's the morning line odds maker both here at St. Anita as well as at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. He's also made the morning line for 7 Breeders' Cup races in the past and certainly will do many more in his future. John, before we take a look at today's 8-race card, question for you. We saw the Tampa Bay Derby yesterday and we saw Classic Causeway win for Brian Lynch. I know you always rank the Derby contenders leading up to the first Saturday in May. You have your strike system as well. At this point in time, and of course there's still more prep races to be run, where do you put Classic Causeway in your top 5?
I had him number 4 coming into this week, and after yesterday, he'll move into number 3. I've Messier, the impressive winner of the Lewis, by 15 lengths on top. Second, I have Secret Oath. I figured all along. I first met Dwayne Lucas at Hollywood Park in 1981 in April, and he is not a man to not take the bull by the horns and run a filly in the Arkansas Derby.
And had success with it in the
past.
past.
Yes, he has. Althea ran in the Arkansas Derby in a race good enough to win most Kentucky Derbies, but back then, Tom, the Arkansas Derby was 2 weeks before the Kentucky Derby. This year, it's 5 weeks before the Kentucky Derby. So that gives Dwayne Lucas lots of time with that filly to go ahead. And the thing is, there's all upside and no downside with her, that she has the points to get into the Kentucky Oaks already. So they can roll the dice in the Arkansas Derby. If she gets the points, then they can make the decision then. They could still go to the Kentucky Oaks. But if you don't run in the Arkansas Derby and get Kentucky Derby points, you can't enter the Kentucky Derby. So that's why I was pretty sure Dwayne Lucas would run this filly in the Arkansas Derby. By the way, I was talking about my dad and this racing form of his from 1952. Last night was his least favorite night of the entire year every year. Do you know why? Because he lost an hour of reading the form because of changing the clocks. And he loved changing him the other way in the fall. Why? It gave him an extra hour to read the racing form. Do you think I come from a horse racing family, Tom?
No doubt about it. You grew up in the Spokane, Washington area, and of course, Playfair comes to mind.
And you had Iggy Puglisi, who rode his very first winner at Playfair on, and I was at the Long Acres Mile he won for television for Fox Sports Northwest when he won on Irish Eyes Are Flying for trainer John Dolan from post position 10 that day. Big thrill for Iggy Puglisi, because that is like the Kentucky Derby of the Northwest, the Long Acres Mile.
And Iggy was great. He certainly showed his personality during the seminar, and I'm certainly going to have him back on. It's a pleasure to have you back on as well. Speaking about Spokane, Washington, last time this year, you proudly wore the Gonzaga t-shirt thinking that they might win the national championship the day before they actually got defeated by Baylor. No such gear today. Does that mean you're not as bullish on the Zags, or are you just going to kind of play your future bet on them very quietly?
I don't want to jinx them.
They're
a very good team, but look, Arizona is a very good team. I mean, Baylor, there's lots of good teams. That's a tough thing to win. I would be so thrilled because it'd be such a big thing for the city that I grew up in if they could win a national title. They've come close once, and then they were drilled last year by Baylor, which I kind of expected because I really thought Baylor was loaded for bear last year. But they're a very good team, and what a great coach he's been, and he's been very loyal to stay in Spokane, thank goodness.
Mark Few is the coach of Gonzaga, and we're honored to have John be filled with information to handicap today's 8-race card. So let's get right to it, and we kick things off with our stakes race on the card. It's the Grade 3 Las Flores Stakes, sprinting 6 furlongs on the main track. This is for fillies and mares. Scratch the 2 leaves us with a field of 4. Of course, race number 1 also begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. John, you made Edgeway the 4-5 favorite. Maybe likely to come down a tick with that scratch and just 4 runners in the field. How'd you see race 1?
Well, this is a race like races, most of them here at Santa Anita, with a lot of great history. And for instance, the winner of this race in 1979, Tom, was a filly by the name of Terlingua, trained by Dwayne Lucas.
Yep.
She became the dam of Stormcat, one of the great sires of all time. Stormcat is the sire of Giant's Causeway. Giant's Causeway is the sire of
Classic Causeway,
who won yesterday's Tampa Bay Derby. So there you go. That stems from the 1979 Las Flores right here at the Great Race Place. Another winner of this race, 1989, Very Subtle, trained by Mel Studi, who should be in the Hall of Fame. It's a complete injustice that he's not. I voted for him a million times. And Very Subtle was a filly that my wife came home one day. My wife makes about a $2 bet every time we have an eclipse, if that often. She came home and said, Mel Studi loves Very Subtle in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. I said, he loves every horse he runs. Who cares? And of course, very subtle, won that Breeders' Cup Sprint, beating the heavy favorite Groovy. I called that chart for the racing form, by the way. And Stormy But Valid won this race in 1990. That's our track announcer, Frank Miramonte, one of all his all-time favorite horses. He's a big fan of my racing memorabilia.
As he should be. That's valuable documents that you're sitting on.
And what a terrific job Frank is doing as the announcer here. I met him at Louisiana Downs many years ago when I was with HRTV. He came to my hotel. I'd never met him. And within about 2 minutes, he told me, I'm going to be the track announcer at Santa Anita someday. You talk about a guy like Babe Ruth calling his shot, and Santa Anita very lucky to have Frank calling the races here.
He followed his dreams, that's for sure. He put in a lot of hard work, calling in a lot of quote-unquote A- or B+ type of tracks, and his hard work paid off, and he absolutely loves the great race place. This is where he was born and raised, right here. You talked about Playfair for Frank. This was his home from the beginning.
That's right. So in this first race, now look, 1 to 9 on the board. I made an odds-on morning line favorite. As you said, we lose points out of here. It's 9 percentage points for a 10 to 1 shot. 4 to 5 is 55 percentage points. And but Private Mission should not be taken lightly in this spot. Why? Well, last time out, she ran a clunker in the La Brea, but she was coming off a race that had to tax her gas tank just in big fashion, that Breeders' Cup distaff, in which they set suicidal fractions that day, and there was a pace meltdown and set it up for the big upset from Japan. And Private Mission, though, don't forget, she once drilled as time goes by, and she did that as a 3-year-old filly against older. And Private Mission has been freshened by Mr. Bob Baffert since that last race. She's got good works coming into this. She did not, as usual, Baffert draws the inside post more than any trainer I've ever seen in my entire life. The guy it's unbelievable. Even in a 5-horse original field, he draws the rail. So the post position advantage goes to Edgeway to be on the outside. She has the more recent race, and Edgeway, I think, certainly is the most likely winner. But if you're betting this race, if you can get any kind of price, this is the thing about Private Mission. I think she's not someone that should be that more of a huge price than Edgeway. I would be looking, right now 7 to 2, but we're a long way from the race still. And I think you'll see those odds come down in Private Mission, but I would be looking at Private Mission as the value in the race for sure, if she's a decent number.
And John, the sire of Private Mission, is Into Mischief. What a stallion he's turned out to be. And of course, he ran right here around this main track oval or the Oval Office at the Great Race Place.
Sure did. And I mean, like you say, what a super sire. Richard Mandela said he wanted to continue racing Into Mischief. He told Mr. B. Wayne Hughes. And Richard Mandela says, I guess Mr. Hughes, which Mr. Hughes often was right about these things. So, what a tremendous story Into Mischief has been.
And a tremendous story with B. Wayne Hughes. Of course, he was a multimillionaire. One of his business successes was being the founder of Public Storage. Race number 2 begins the 50-cent early pick 4. We're on the main track, sprinting 7 furlongs this time. $25,000 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime, a field of 5. The one gelding returning off a layoff, number 3. All about the money from the Red Hot Vladimir Serin barn. You laid 9 to 5 on the morning line, John, but this is one of those races where you've also got a 2 to 1 and a 5 to 2. Talk to us about race 2.
Exactly. There's only 5 in this race. But look, to me, it appears all 5 have a chance to win. I don't think you can throw out anybody. My dad used to call those X-out horses. He would take a racing form and a horse he didn't like. He would put red X's through the horse. So there are no X-out horses in this race to me for sure. I give the nod, and I mean just a slight nod to All About the Money here. Can you have a hotter trainer right now than Vladimir Serin? I mean, even on Friday, he sent a runner over to Phoenix,
Mucho del Oro,
to win the Cotton Fitzsimmons Mile, a guy I once met when I was working in Phoenix.
He loved the ponies.
Loved it. I said, are you playing the pick 6 today at Santa Anita? And at that time, they weren't commingling. And he goes, no, I have enough time picking one. So that was the comment from Cotton Fitzsimmons I got that day. But All About the Money's coming off a layoff. It has a good work tab coming into this. And the one thing, he is a 4-year-old against some of these being 3-year-olds. So I give him the edge, but look, this is a tough race. I thought Fort Bridger, Ryan Hansen, I'm so pleased that he is really
another winner at Turf Paradise on Friday.
Well, and he has really established a toehold on this tough circuit. And that's not easy to do. And of course, his wife, Michelle, I worked with for years here in television. She does such a fantastic job. And I'm so happy for the Hansons, two wonderful kids. And they really know this game. Cut their roots. Ryan did up in Idaho. So as someone from Washington State, I appreciate that too. This will be the longest race for Fort Bridger though, but the last race, you can throw that completely out the window. He was overmatched. He fits much better here today, but he is a 3-year-old against the 4-year-old, all about the money. That's one reason I give the edge to the 3.
Race number 3, we're on the turf course sprinting 6 furlongs of the distance. And on today's 8-race card, race number 3 begins the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6, that jackpot single ticket carryover. Now up to $322,000. And the turf rails today are at 30 feet. Race number 3 is for 3-year-old starter optional claiming types, a field of 7. Number 5, Arabiata is the 5-2 morning line favorite from the Doug O'Neill barn. Doug O'Neill stuck one past the goalie yesterday with Beachgrass at a big price.
A maiden,
exactly right. Exactly right. Tell us why you laid Doug O'Neill the favorite here.
By the way, I had Beachgrass at 8-1, went off at 16. Now, hardly anybody says anything, but if I make a horse 15 and they go off at like 6 and win, everybody, look at that. So
it's a tough crowd you have to deal with.
Well, the thing about it, Tom, I didn't go higher on that horse in that race, even though it was a maiden, is because that horse had run well with a number of those horses in that race. There was a maiden that ran yesterday at Tampa Bay Downs, Command Performance, who was a 1-9 on the tote board and got buried. So, and that horse was dropping in class out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, which has turned out to be a very non-productive race, unlike the Kentucky Jockey Club at Churchill. And the time before it runs second in the Grade 1 Champagne. Now, you would think a horse good enough to run second in the Grade 1 Champagne, running in a maiden race at Tampa Bay Downs would be like almost, you talk about free bingo square, and yet absolutely ran second, but almost ended up third.
That's why they run the race.
That's right. Wide open race here to me. You could go several different ways. I gave an edge to the 5, who I made the morning line favorite here, coming off a good effort at this same class level last time out. And but boy, you could go, like I say, a lot of different ways here. The number 2 Street Art fits very well here. Comes off a disappointing race, but certainly could rebound. And you see, one of the difficult things for me in a way, there's good news and bad news with Pratt. I look who he's riding first. You mentioned a lot of times how many times he's riding the morning line favorite. Well, that's because number 1, he rides a lot of winners, but more than that, he's bet. It's just like when Russell Bays dominated at Golden Gate and Bay Meadows. You wanted to see who Hollendorfer and Bays were involved with on that circuit, because that's your starting point. And in this case, see, I may regret not making Pratt the favorite, because a lot of times I'll look at the first click of the odds and I go, darn it, I should have made Pratt the favorite. And if you get that happens enough times, you end up making Pratt the favorite a lot. So he could certainly win the race, but it's wide open. I did go 5-2.
Making the morning line is both an art and a science, that's for sure. Race number 4, we're going 2 turns, 1 mile on the main track for fillies and mares. Starter optional claiming types, a field of 5. Also, race 4 begins the 50-cent late pick 5. Favorite on the bottom, who doesn't like to win a whole lot, number 5, Smooth Like Butter, is the 2-1 morning line favorite for Steve Knapp. Always seems to be there or thereabout, John, but never really seems to cross the wire first. Tell us why you made her the favorite.
Well, because I think she'll go favor, but this is another race. I wouldn't bet 5 cents on that happening. Tayet could go favored with this. Val could go favored. Even Stoic Luna, again, 5-horse field, and 4 of them could go favored in this race, in my opinion. I'm actually not a fan of this filly because she's burnt. She's, like you said, she's shy of winning. She's 1 for 25. I can't remember the last 1 for 25 horse I made the morning line favorite, but I kept trying to find someone else that I would say will definitely go favored. Will it be with this Val? I don't necessarily think so. Will it be Tayet? I don't necessarily think so. Tayet's 1 for 12. That's nothing exactly to jump up and down about. So, it's a tough, wide open race with only 5. I think Smooth Like Butter can maybe get that elusive second career win today. But boy, like you say, you certainly can't rely on it. your best play there is maybe the play spot, but that doesn't pay much these days.
And you make an important distinction, John, that I want to visit for a minute or two. Your job or your objective as the morning line odds maker is not necessarily to pick the horse you like best personally. It's to predict who the crowd is going to make the favorite come post time.
Exactly. As I mentioned, that's why, I want to give horse players that are looking at the races before they come to the track, or even when they're sitting down early in the day, a chance to see as they're going through. They want to beat the favorite. As I said, that's their number one goal. You hear it on the radio shows. You're never going to hear people often say, I love this favorite, which honestly, I give credence to a handicapper if when a horse looks like Classic Causeway did yesterday, that you say, hey, I don't see an alternative. Either bet Classic Causeway or forget it, or, hook up an exotics or multi-race. That's the thing about today from when I was first going to the races. Back when these yellowed forms, when I was going, you had win, place, and show and the $2 daily double on the first and second race. That's it. Period. The double was a big day. People would say, hey, did you hit the double? My dad worked in the money room in the mutuals at Playfair. My car conked down with my dad in it on the way to the track one day. And the policeman who was the guard for the money room was coming by. And I thought, good, we can get some help. And I waved at the guy trying to get him to help us with our stuck car. And he waved and drove on. So when we finally got to the track, I saw him. I said, sir, why did you drive on by? And he said, I had to make the double.
Race number 5, we offer daily double wagering, $2 rolling daily double wagerings now in the year 2022. And race 5 begins the 50-cent late pick 4. 1 mile on the main track, maiden claiming $20,000 of the tag. Good field of 9 here. The morning line favorite number 8, Thrive from the Michael McCarthy barn. 6-5 on your morning line. John, give us your analysis of this race.
First of all, I'm so pleased Michael McCarthy has done so well. In fact, I had forgotten, but I had actually recommended to the Rombauer people that they should think about Michael McCarthy as the trainer. So I'm very proud that he would go on and win the Preakness Stakes. And Michael is he's top drawer. He was a longtime assistant to Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher. So I'm really, now we talked about wide open races today, even with short fields. Here's a bigger field, and I don't think it's wide open, but I also think that the 8 Thrive is a very shaky heavy favorite in this race. May go shorter than 6-5 in here, but I don't want to go too much higher on these other horses. If I make Thrive 4-5 or 3-5, then you're looking at 10 and 12-1 on all these other horses to balance your race. So Thrive is taking, plummeting in class and really should win this race. It's been facing so much better, and class, usually tells, but if it looks too good, often it isn't, and this is a case they're willing to give this horse away basically for $20,000. Eclipse Thoroughbreds are among the sharpest owners we have in this game, in my opinion. And so I would be singling here, because once you get past the favorite, it's a dartboard to me. I mean, my second choice is from the Keith DeSormo barn, who I got to know at Louisiana at Lone Star Park in 1980 when I was the public relations manager at that track. And I was impressed with him then. And of course, he had won the Preakness with Exaggerator and has done it extremely well. I think Whiskey Vision also is one that could have a say in here. But to me, it's sink or swim with Thrive. But I don't trust Thrive, to be honest.
If you have the past performances in front of you, if you take a look at the breeding for number 8 Thrive, you'll see that the breeder was Jungle Racing. That's the nom de plume for noted sportscaster Jim Rome. And Thrive is actually a half to Gajetta, who obviously has done well on the circuit, as John mentioned.
Straight up G.
It's straight up G as well. So certainly taking the drop down in class raises a few eyebrows, but as John said, oftentimes class prevails. Race number 6, we are coming down the hillside turf course, 6.5 furlongs of the distance. Allowance optional claiming types, fillies and mares, non-winners of 2 other than. Scratch the 5, leaves us with a field of 5. The morning line favorite number 3, Royal Address from the Neil Drysdale barn, 2-1, ridden by the George Wolf Award winner Joe Bravo. Good to see Joe get that award, because obviously it's voted on by his peers.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've been following Joe for years, especially from the early days of HRTV when we covered Monmouth Park extensively. This race, I had a very tough time deciding whether to make Big Sweep the favorite, Royal Address the favorite, or California Kook, the 2, 3, 4. Big Sweep was Frank Miramonte's play on Mike Willman's radio show today.
Well, we know he's going to get bet then.
California Kook, Brad Free likes, and I respect Brad Free. So there's two guys I respect. The reason I made Royal Address the favorite, why I'm picking Royal Address on top, is one thing, and I think some people have forgotten this a little bit since we didn't have races down the hill, which is my favorite thing at this track by far. But we had that gap where we weren't running down the hill. There's nothing more important in a race down the hill than previous form down the hill. Cambria Corsa, matching. I mean, I can go Champagne Bid. I mean, horses that just, you talk about thrive, that favorite in the last race, they would thrive. California Flag was another one. I mean, a monster on that hill, Cambria Corsa. So California Kook didn't win down the hill last time out, but ran down the hill, but it was a much tougher race against the likes of Legs Galore, who would be 1-10 in here for sure. California Kook looks so good in that win on opening day that I think you have to really respect her here. But Royal Address has the good recent race down the hill. And to me, that trumps everything in really going through this race.
Race number 7 begins the $1 Golden Hour at pick 4, linking our last two races here with the last two races at Golden Gate. We're sprinting 6 furlongs in race number 7. For maiden claiming Calibreds, $50,000 is the claiming tag. Field of 8, the morning line favorite number 5, Arthur Spooner, who just missed last time out. 3-1 now make the replacement jockey Flavia and Pratt. Arthur Spooner and Romeo's Glory both ran on February 20th in the second race. It's a common race. It was only a 4-horse field, but let's watch that replay to get a better read on Arthur Spooner's chances today. Arthur Spooner in this replay we're going to watch breaks from the rail.
And they're off. Arthur Spooner is the quickest. Big Splash up close and now on even terms. Romeo's Glory is next, and another 2.5. Big Impact is down at the rail. Down the backstretch they go, and it's Arthur Spooner leading it by about a neck. Big Splash presses from second. Romeo's Glory now 1.5 lengths back in third, passed at the rail by Big Impact. Very compact, heading toward the 3/8 pole. And it's Arthur Spooner with a head advantage. Big Splash right up alongside the whole way. Romeo's Glory is next. Big Impact at the rail has 2 to make up as they come toward the quarter pole. Big Splash takes a narrow lead. Arthur Spooner, Romeo's Glory, and now Big Impact is switched to the outside for the drive there at the top of the stretch. Arthur Spooner digs in gamely up alongside Big Splash. They're head and head. Big Impact is 2 behind, looking for racing room. Coming to the 16th pole, Arthur Spooner and Big Splash, inseparable since the gate opened, and they're coming for the wire together. Big Splash, Arthur Spooner, Big Splash got there. Arthur Spooner loses a heartbreaker, then Romeo's Glory and Big Impact.
As we heard Frank Miramati say, John, Arthur Spooner loses a heartbreaker there, losing by a nose to a maiden special weight dropper, certainly on an improving by her speed figure pattern. I'm sure that's one of the reasons why you made Arthur Spooner the favorite.
Absolutely. I mean, back-to-back good efforts really at this class level. Again, Ryan Hansen to me is certainly someone that you can rely on to have a horse ready for a good effort. And this is a 3-year-old facing some older in here, though, so that's a big negative. And here's another example. In the old days, when we made the morning line, the morning of the races, I would have known that Flavia and Pratt was on this horse. That's not the case. The morning line went in 2 days ago. So, and it's nothing against Victor Espinoza. Look, he's a Hall of Fame jockey. This is a guy that wins Kentucky Derbies, Breeders' Cups. But who gets bet more right now, Flavia and Pratt or Victor Espinoza?
Not even close.
Not even close. So here's a case. I would have made Arthur Spooner a lower favorite for sure than 3-1 if I know who's riding Arthur Spooner. That said, you've got John Lindo, a very good handicapper. Very good. Bob Mazursky, outstanding handicapper. Beat me out of the LA Times handicapping job. When I applied for that, I'd been making the odds in the Los Angeles Times for over a decade. And my wife said, why do you keep doing that? They paid me very little, but I said, I want to be in a position if they ever have a horse racing handicap in there again, I should be in the catbird seat.
Bragging rights are always important.
Well, the thing is, the Herald Examiner folded right at the time so I got beat out of the job. I was like the Alidar to Affirmed, and Bob Mazursky was Affirmed. But Lindo likes the one. Bob Mazursky likes the one. Jonathan Hardoon's play of the day this morning on the radio is Dutch Bus, and so you got to give that one. That's going to be one probably getting sheets action from the Ragusan sheets. So, I feel this is a fairly wide open race, but I feel comfortable that Arthur Spooner's got as good a shot in here as anybody.
Let's close out the card, John. In race number 8, we're sprinting 6 furlongs on the turf course for maiden special weight, fillies and mares. Also, it begins the $5 Golden Hour Daily Double. Keep in mind, live racing will resume on Friday here at the Great Race Place. Take note of the special post. Post will move back to 1 o'clock now going forward, except for special racing days. So 1 o'clock first post on Friday. We have a 9-race card planned for you. But first things first, let's get a winner in race number 8, John. The morning line favorite on the outside, number 8. Countess Rosina, 5-2 adding Lasik for the Jeff Mullins barn. Give us your thoughts on the nightcap.
Well, here, this was tough to weigh because you've got a newcomer to the United States who ran in England. In fact, I was at Newmarket back in 1984. Bet a horse that won in like a 20-horse field going straight a mile and barely won, but I knew was going to come down and was disqualified. And later I'm talking to somebody and they said, why didn't you go over to the bookmakers and bet that it'd be disqualified? Because you can do that here. And I said, now you tell me. Because I knew that horse was coming down. So Countess Rosina is a 3-year-old, again, against older, hasn't run in this country, but you've got Pratt. And so many of these foreign horses have been getting bet heavy, particularly from the Phil D'Amato barn. But even the Mullins barn, too, when these newcomers show up, I think Vivando has an excellent chance to win this race. This was a Brad Free horse to watch. And this is a 4-year-old. Diego Herrera, what an up-and-comer we have here with this young apprentice. So really, that's a strong contender. Look, I thought the 1 is one, even though coming out of a maiden claiming, and normally you say that's a big class hike, but ran in a fast race and set a fast pace, and the race was 109 and change and was off a step slow. I think the 1 has a shot, and don't even sell out Marty Jones. He doesn't work his horses fast, and this one with a 47 and change work could be live. So very interesting way to wrap up the card.
To say it's interesting to have you as a seminar guest, John, would be an understatement. It's always an educational experience. You never fail to teach people something new whenever you speak. So thanks so much for spending part of your day with us. We'll do it again sometime soon.
Okay, well, down the line, maybe.
Okay, John, I know you're a busy man. Thanks to all of you for watching as well. Hopefully we gave you some winners. Have fun, everybody. Make some money today, and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park. Here are the changes. The track is fast, the turf is firm, rail on the turf out 30 feet. No show wagering in the first, start of the early pick 5. It's the Grade 3 Las Flores Stakes. Scratch number 2, Park Avenue. In the second, start of the early pick 4, we have the blinker note. Blinker notes are always on the bottom of the program page. Third race starts the Rainbow Pick 6, 322,000 in the jackpot pool for a single ticket winner. No changes in race 3. Late pick 5 starts in the 4th today. And there are no changes in race 4. In the 5th, number 2, Mongolian Bonus will carry 2 pounds over. In the 6th, scratch number 5, Heather's Gray. Race 6, scratch number 5. 7 starts the Golden Hour pick 4, number 5, Arthur Spooner, the jockey Flavien Pratt. 7, Speed Grazy, 2 pounds over. And in the 8th, start of the $5 Golden Hour double, we have no changes. Enjoy your day at Santa Anita